but there was no voice, and no one answered. And they danced around the Mizbeach, the altar, which had been made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them, taunting, saying, shout with a loud voice, for he is a god, monolatry. So there's still recognition that Baal is a god. Okay, he is a god. Either he is meditating or he is pursuing something, or perhaps he had to travel or he's relieving himself, is the way this is interpreted, among some. Or perhaps he sleeps and must be awakened. Maybe he's taken a nap. Now, this what's translated, they danced around the altar, can also be translated, they limped around the altar, whether this is some kind of ritual that was used by Baal adherents in the ancient world, we don't know. The Hebrew word is pasach, which can mean to spring or to leap, or to limp. And it could be translated, how long, before this whole contest, Elijah sort of asks, I don't know if this is sarcasm or not, but at least it's a rhetorical question. He was asking the people, how long will you go limping with two different opinions? On the one hand, sometimes you want Hashem, you want the Lord, and sometimes you want Baal. The way the narrative is written, they're associating the people with Baal. So the mockery here serves a very specific purpose. It serves the purpose to caricature Baal on the one hand. On the other hand, it serves the purpose of elevating Hashem and Elijah in the narrative. It also promotes the Deuteronomist ideology, the exclusive worship of Hashem, the Lord. You know this narrative, right? I love these old pictures. My students know that, right? The Tower of Babel. Also, you can find these pictures online really easily. These ziggurats in Iraq, especially since we had our military there for so long. There are lots of these pictures around. So this is in Genesis 11, and it follows the story of Noah and the flood and the generations of the sons of Noah in Genesis 6 to 10. And I want to read just a part of this to you. And all the land was of one language and of common words. And it came to pass, as they migrated from the east, that they found a plain in Eretz Shinar, the land of Shinar. And they dwelt there. And they said one to another, come, let us make brick and bake them thoroughly. And they had brick for Evan, stone, and bitumen for mortar. This is a short story, so I can read the whole thing. And they said, come, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach into Shemayim, heaven. And let us make us a name for ourselves. Otherwise we shall be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Kol haaretz. And Hashem came down to see the city and the tower which Bnei Adam, the sons of Adam, had built. And Hashem said, see, the people is one. The people are one people. And they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be impossible for them which they have proposed to do. Come, let us go down, and there confuse their lip, literally, safat, or speech, figuratively, that they may not understand one another's language. And the same word is used for language, so it's a kind of a pun there. Let us confuse their language so they won't understand one another's language. Let us confuse their lips so that they won't understand each other's lip. That's what workers do, right? They give each other a lip. So Hashem scattered them abroad From there upon the face of Kol Haaretz, the whole land, and they left off building the city, the Ir. Therefore, is the name of it called Bavel, confusion, because here Hashem confused the language of Kol Haaretz, and from there did Hashem scatter them abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So, the meaning of the story. It's an etiology for the existence of multiple human languages all over the world, right? So my students know that when I ask this question, it means, or a question like this, you know, in this way, it means maybe not, or maybe not so much. But it is there. It is there in the text, right? So from the Enuma Elish, which is, you know, we would say that the Jewish intellectuals, the scribes, the priests, would have come into contact with this in the 6th century during the Babylonian captivity. In the Enuma Elish, at least if not, you know, the texts themselves, and I have it, you know, I'm pretty sure they came in contact with the texts themselves, or these texts, rather than just the traditions. They have, there is an account of the building of a tower in Babylon, and I want to share that with you. The Anunnaki, who were a generation of lesser deities, made their voices heard and addressed Marduk their lord. Now, O Lord, that you have set us free, what are our favors from you? We would like to make a shrine with its own name. The tower. We would like our night's resting place to be in your private quarters and to rest there. Let us found a shrine, a sanctuary there. When we arrive, let us rest within it. When Marduk heard this, his face lit up greatly, like daylight. Create Babylon, whose construction you requested. Let its mud bricks be molded and build high the shrine. The Anunnaki began shoveling. It was a shovel-ready project. For a whole year, they made bricks for it. When the 2nd year arrived, they had raised the top of a Sagila in front of, it was probably, should be here, the image of Apsu, or the statue of Apsu, or something like that. They had built a high ziggurat for the Apsu, who was another deity. So in its original context, in the 6th century BCE, in Babylon, its original meaning, the Tower of Babel story in Genesis 11, would have been satiric mockery of the Babylonian arrogance and their love for their shrines and these great towers that they were building. Does that make sense? You see it? This is not me. I did not make this up. This is other scholars saying this too. So the narrative in Genesis 11 turns Babylon, which means the gate of God, into Bavel, confusion. So it's a satiric commentary on the great ziggurats of Babylon called the Sagila and syllable by syllable, my professor used to say, Edaminananki. Okay? So grandiose in scale that one of my colleagues said that it might not have ever been completed. So this also, the Genesis 11 narrative of the Tower of Babel, is an example of how biblical satire loses its meaning over time, like Born in the USA, right? From mockery of Babylonian arrogance to a simple etiology for multiple human languages. Okay, once the context is lost and people forget about the Babylonian captivity in terms of this narrative, or how this narrative fits in that context, it becomes just, this is how why we say so many different languages. Possibly, and this is a take by Michael Coogan, and my students would have read this semester, possibly this narrative in Genesis 11 was later read as a criticism of the Deuteronomists' argument for worship in a single location instead of multiple shrines.